Peace is power. So I just want to talk about this with you guys because if you are somebody who is trying to do something creative, if you are somebody who wants to do something to the best of your ability, it is not always easy to try to keep our peace. But maybe that's one of the most important things that we could do as a creative to try to unleash our ability. Because I heard Joel Osteen talking about this, and he said that peace, when you are able to keep your peace, when you're able to fight for your peace, that's when you're able to be your most creative. That's when you're not working out of fear and you're working out of full creative freedom. You're able to be your most creative. You're able to make better decisions. You're able to love people better. You're able to go out there and be the best version of you that you possibly can. But when we're not living in that peace, we start getting distracted by what's going on in the world. Get distracted by these things going on in the news. Get distracted by all that stuff. That's where it takes away from our creativity. That's where it takes away from our full creative energy. And when do we want to be able to go out there and be able to shine that light as bright as we possibly could? Now, one of the things that he mentioned is that a lot of the times, some people are going to want to put on the news and they're going to have that running on in the background all freaking day. Not only on TV running in the background, but also running in the background of your mind. If you're constantly inputting this stuff, constantly, every single day, you're inputting this stuff into your mind, automatically you're going to be living in this distraction. Instead of focusing on your attention on Jesus, on trying to be the best that you can, living in that creative freedom, all of a sudden we start thinking about the negativity in the world, all this fear that we have, that we start carrying that around with us, and it's probably not going to be the best thing for us. But if we start putting on God, if we start putting on God's word, but also just being able to live in that peace, positivity, and joy, and protecting our peace, inputting our brain with that, like let me give you an example. So I've watched Joel Osteen before, but there's times where I didn't really watch him too much. And I didn't really understand the importance of being able to not only watch his message, but the power of his message. And I think the power of his message is not just, the fact that he's able to give us something that's very good, that we're always going to remember. Because sometimes we're going to forget what he says in his messages. But I think one of the most powerful things about his messages is the fact that it is being able to consume our mind, put into our mind, this positivity, this inspiration, this joy, this happiness, all this stuff, all this good stuff that he's trying to push out there every single sermon that he gives. Now, wouldn't it be way better to be able to input our mind with that instead of all the negativity, all the news, all that other stuff, man? And I think that's one of the best things about his messages, man. It's not always about being able to remember that one specific thing, but being able to constantly put that into our mind, start working that into our subconscious, and starting to constantly turn to thinking like that instead of thinking the opposite, which our mind really wants to go to all the time. So maybe that's why it's so important to keep our peace and keep our joy. And maybe we can start to input our mind with different things like that. For me, I love listening to Joel Osteen's messages, but it's not just about that. I also read my Bible. I also pray. I also think about Jesus. I try to think about Jesus. So maybe we can find out our best way of inputting that positivity and joy. It could even be watching good movies that make you happy instead of watching movies that are negative and that make you think negative about the world. Let me know what you're going to do today to help you keep your peace. Love you guys. Talk to you in the comments. Peace.